Selamat pagi. Good morning. Thank you for watching my presentation today. It's my pleasure to share this presentation with you on the topic of university autonomy and leadership in the context of higher education reform in Vietnam. So the title of my talk, Autonomy Without Authority, capture a central tension that perhaps many university leaders in Southeast Asia face today. In this presentation, I use the case of Hanoi University, where I work, to explore what this tension between autonomy and authority means in practice and what lessons it offers for university leadership and governance reform more broadly. Although Hanoi University is often regarded as having a good reputation for practicing institutional autonomy in Vietnam, I will reflect on the remaining challenges to illustrate the limits of autonomy in practice. So globally and also in Vietnam, university autonomy has been promoted as a way to help institutions adapt, excel, or respond to changing societal needs. In Vietnam, particularly since the mid-2000s, the government has sought to delegate more responsibility to public universities while shipping itself into a supervisory role. But this delegation has not always been accompanied by adequate support mechanism or decision-making authority. The objective of university autonomy in Vietnam is to unlock institutional potential by encouraging greater initiative and creativity within higher education institutions. Through autonomy, universities are expected to enhance the quality of education and research while also strengthening efficiency and global competitiveness. In practical terms, autonomy expands institutional responsibility for decision-making in key areas such as academic programs, human resources, and financial management. And at the same time, it increases accountability for institutional performance with a longer-term goal of sustainable development and international integration. Hanoi University is a public institution under the Ministry of Education and Training and one of the earliest universities in Vietnam to implement full institutional autonomy, particularly in internationalized and English medium programs. At Hanoi University, autonomy is supported by the two-tier government structure, and the first level is a central university leadership, while the second level consists of academic, functional, and support units. This structure allows authority and responsibility to be delegated downward, with decisions made closer to where teaching, research, and services actually occur. So the governance model is relatively streamlined with fewer administrative layers, supporting both efficiency and institutional autonomy. So building on this governance structure, now I want to briefly highlight key milestones in how autonomy has been implemented at Hanoi University. So as you can see from the table, autonomy at Hanoi University evolved through 4 phases, moving from partial autonomy to full institutional autonomy. Early phases focus on limited academic and financial discretion, while later phases expanded authority across academic, organizational, personnel, and financial domains. This gradual progression significantly increased leadership responsibility over time. What changed most across these phases was not autonomy itself, but leadership became more demanding. So building on earlier phases, Hanoi University is now Advancing Full Autonomy for 2025 to 2030 period. This includes greater authority in organizational and staffing decisions, academic activities, and financial and asset management, ranging from tuition setting and staff remuneration to investment, foreign aid, and the use of public assets. Together, these areas significantly expand leadership responsibility at the institutional level. So now I'm gonna talking about the leadership perspective, the lesson learned from the life experience under autonomy. So first of all, this theme reflects a key leadership challenge under autonomy, fragmented authority. Although the university is granted autonomy in principle, leaders describe it as constrained in practice. Overlapping and sometimes contradictory legal frameworks, such as those governing public investment, assess, taxation, and binding, creates confusion and limit decision-making. Many key decisions still require external approval, top-down approval, reducing institutional flexibility. So overall, autonomy exists formally, but fragmented authority continues to restrict leaders' ability to exercise it meaningfully. The second leadership challenge relates to financial and human resource constraints. While the university is expected to be financially self-reliant, the leaders reported having limited real control over financial decisions, particularly in salary and incentive systems. This creates significant pressure as compensation policies often lack the flexibility needed to remain competitive. So the university faces increasing difficulty in attracting and retaining qualified staff. And several leaders highlighted serious brain drain, with experienced lecturers moving to institutions offering substantially higher salaries. This has led to ongoing shortages in human resources and poses a major challenge for sustaining teaching quality and institutional development. The third leadership challenge reflects the tension between global expectation and local constraints. Although autonomy in international cooperation and research has formally expanded at the university, the leaders reported that the implementation remained restricted. Approval processes for international partnerships, for example, are often lengthy and rigid, which slow down collaboration and reduces institutional responsiveness. In addition, legal documents governing international activities lack synchronization and consistency, creating uncertainty for universities seeking to expand joint programs, staff exchange, or dual degrees. The leaders also noted limited incentive for research commercialization, further constraining the university's ability to compete globally. As a result, internationalization and research autonomy remain constrained despite supportive policy intention. So overall, the leaders face a fundamental imbalance between responsibility and control. While they are held highly accountable for institutional performance, the decision-making authority remains limited. So this gap increases both personal and institutional risks as the leaders are expected to deliver reforms and innovation without having sufficient autonomy or resources to do so effectively. The key leadership takeaway is that autonomy is effective only when authority, incentives, and accountability move together. When this alignment is missing, leaders are left managing risk without the necessary tools or decision-making power. And meaningful reforms so must go beyond policy design and place greater emphasis on implementation, ensuring that autonomy can be exercised in practice, not just in principles. So to conclude, autonomy is not merely about freedom, it is about trust. Without trust translated into real authority, autonomy becomes a burden rather than a source of empowerment. So while these findings are grounded in research from life experiences of the leaders, they also strongly resonate with my own experience in higher education leadership in my university. So I like to take this opportunity to open a discussion in the Indonesian context, drawing on your personal experiences in higher education governance and reflecting together on leadership challenges, lesson learned, and practical ways forward. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye.